Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Cosmic Human Design Podcast. We are back once again, and we are having some fun just chatting behind the scenes from you guys. You don't even know what's going on. But we are live, and we are here to discuss God's blueprints. So this is the human design, but this has been, the mathematics have been done differently. Richard Mason, the Yale graduate, has teamed up with JARIN, and the two of them came up with the different way of the horoscope working inside of the human design, and it made this cosmic human design, it shifted things over and it made things just a little different. And it's really done a magical job with clients and people and even ourselves working in groups and understanding how our designs are and how well it works in harmony with us. We're not waiting 7 years to make it work. We are instantly feeling it and understanding it. And I talked to somebody yesterday, and I did her chart for her, and I gave her just a little rundown. JARIN helped me out, and when I did that, she said, "Yup, sounds exactly like me." There was no like, oh well, maybe not that part. It was. She said it sounded exactly like her. So it seems to just resonate with people. If you want to find us, it's YouTube/Cosmic Human Design. That's how you find us. And the link is in the description of the Facebook pages. Some people were asking on the chats. So if you want your chart, go to cosmichumandesign.com, of course, and get your free chart. So that's how you start off your journey here. And then what we do is you tune into these podcasts and you maybe look up one of these gentlemen here, JARIN or Richard, and work with them, even if you want to get deeper into Cosmic Human Design. I think you're building a team already where you can have even more people who can help out people with the Cosmic Human Design charts. But yeah, that's what we're doing here. And this is, we feel, is God's blueprint. This is what we were imprinted with, and we can read this design and we can understand who we are, what we're about, and why we do the things we do. And what's our advantages and what's our things that we have to look out for. We all have our balancing acts. And then how do we act as a team? How do we work as a team? What do you do and what do I do? And how does that match? What about 3 of us? What about 5 of us? What about a whole business? How does it work together? How does a love relationship work? All kinds of questions answered in this type of design. So really cool stuff. Welcome, JARIN KENYON. How are you doing tonight, sir?
I'm doing great. Looking forward to today. Happy birthday Eve, by the way, Mr. Greg Schumacher.
That's right.
Tomorrow's his birthday, so we had to throw it out there. New solar year here.
That's right. I'm going to be
yourself.
The big 4-4, double fours. So that's
I like it. That's my favorite number. So good for you.
Excellent.
I'll get there someday. but no, just in the essence of, I know Richard's going to start us off. We're going to be talking a little bit about transits. I just thought it was appropriate. I heard the word purity, and I just thought I'd mention, today's emphasis, Richard will go into, but it's about purity. And I thought that's important for myself within my design, for all you new people out here, to tell you that this heresy is correct. The old human design has inaccurate math from an inaccurate system of stars and planets. And this is the purity of what's real. This is what you're imprinted in at birth, from God's energy, from the universe's purity of what makes you individually you, that also is connected to the universe as a whole in harmony. And so it's very eye-opening when we realize that we've been a little bit under a false system of astrology, and we have it corrected for you. And today's energy about purity goes right along with what cosmic human design actually is, which you must test out for yourself. But I can tell you that for myself and for 98% of the people I've worked with, it's been transformative, whether brand new or whether people studying design for a decade or more like myself have discovered, hey, this is the real me. This is not only easier, this is just feels more comfortable, and you become more successful with how your energy actually is designed versus a false identity through a false aspect of time that puts us out of harmony with the universe. So up-to-date information that only 2021 and Richard Mason could come up with. So Richard, Glad for you.
Yeah. Happy birthday, Greg.
Yes, thank you.
So you're speaking of transits, we've got we're going to be talking a lot about today's transits, the planets and what gates they're in. This is something that's very common in the human design world. You see, for example, you see the daily neutrino weather, it's sometimes called, on different sites, where they have a body graph that shows the chart for today, and where all the planets are at, what gates they're in. So in a minute here, we're going to be looking at today's chart and going through today's transits and see where the energy's at. And this is kind of a fun game I like to play with myself. I'm pretty boring, so these are the kinds of games I play. But I like to, compare the tropical transits to the cosmic transits and see if I can feel the energy. Compare and see if you can really feel this energy. That's something I really recommend doing. Go out there and get a tropical chart, the tropical human design transits. By the way, that's what I'm calling the original human design chart now, is the tropical chart. Look at the tropical chart transits and, compare them. And I think you'll see that, you really can feel that energy in the air, from the true sidereal astrology, which, by the way, Greg mentioned a lot about how this astrology was a lot more accurate. And just to give you guys a refresher on that, we're at Cosmic Human Design, we're using true sidereal astrology, which is the only kind of astrology, believe it or not, that actually describes the sky as it really is, describes the planets where they actually are in the sky, and has the real value of, for example, the width of the constellations. Not all the constellations are 30 degrees, like in tropical. And there's 13 constellations. Tropical astrology leaves out the 13th constellation of Ophiuchus. And you can see that harmony, because that's what we're doing. We're bringing back the harmony to astrology, because this is how the sky actually looks. So, if we're not going by that, then why are we even doing astrology? You know what I'm saying? So yeah, that's just a brief recap for you guys about what true sidereal is. It describes the planets as they actually are in the sky. And for example, most of you all who have looked at astrology in the past, your sun sign, take a look at your sun sign. Chances are that's not your actual sun sign. Chances are it's to the one, to the sign to the left of that one on the wheel. For example, in tropical, I was a Cancer. In true sidereal, I'm a Gemini, which to me makes complete perfect sense. And I'm sure, I think most of my friends would probably agree with that. Gemini is this very airy, kind of intellectual type of sign. And if there's anything people would describe me as in my life, it's being somewhat of an intellectual or something like that. So that's true sidereal.
Richard, if I could mention something real quick, I've noticed some patterns and synchronicities lately with people attempting to balance the two, and say that tropical, and I won't mention names, but a very well-known astrologer in the world, very well-known, he describes sidereal as being very important, secondary, more out there, not as close to us, but important. And that includes all the signs. But then is stating that tropical is more important because it's closer to us and all these other kind of things. And then I hear the same thing within the human design field as far as, well, tropical has an influence because, and I've said this myself, because we've adapted to it. We programmed it in. We've tried to live it for so long. We've convinced ourselves and created new belief systems based upon it. So yes, it may have an effect. But for those of you out there that are wanting to say that there's accuracy to it, or wanting to say, well, sidereal's there and it's way out there in the rest of the universe, and what's close to us on this plane is tropical. Well, fine. If you want to give into the matrix, fine. This was a matrix system that has quarantined us, as Richard's also mentioned several times. It's kind of at the edge of this. We've broken the door. they entrapped us into false time and caused us to get in disharmony with who we are and with how the universe works. And so if you want to say, hey, there's a lot of power behind it, it's real, well then fine. If you want to follow the people or the beings that inserted that matrix slavery conditioning in the first place, then that's okay. But if you do not want that, and you want what's accurate in the stars and what we actually are way beyond even Earth, but let's say to Earth from way out there, think about it, we come from stardust, right? Then this is the truth. This is the reality. So I don't buy at all into the tropical, other than aspects of conditioning of doing it for so long that there is some relative energy of some kind of energy of truth to it, just out of you trying to be someone you're not, or buying into a matrix system that you try to fit into. And those are my viewpoints on that situation.
Yeah, Jarin, in my opinion, the only power that tropical astrology has is the power that people give to it. And that is because of the power of consciousness. So if you really, really do believe in tropical astrology, and the people around you really, really believe in it, then yeah, it's going to seem like it's working. It's going to seem like it is describing you. It's going to seem like it's describing your friends. But it's just like it's like a collective delusion in a way. Just like
there's none of those. There's none of those around.
Yeah, and I was just about to say, we've got our fair share of collective delusions going around right now, but that's because people don't want to wake up to their own power of their own consciousness. And it's almost like they don't even realize how their own beliefs are affecting what they perceive and how their reality is shaped. And that's just a fact. Your thoughts and your beliefs, your attitude does affect your reality and changes your reality. The key question to ask yourself is your reality in harmony with the true reality, with the greater cosmic reality? And that's what we're getting to here with this new astrology. It's, telling us how the planets actually are. And then from that, we create this human design chart, and then we can see the correct effects, the actual effects of the planets on our personalities and on our consciousness. And then it's almost like a spell has been lifted once you really embrace that and really get into that. So yeah.
It's perfect, Richard. That's perfect. When you talked about it's another way to have an identity that was given to you by an external source. And so we're used to giving our authority away to an external power. And that's a great way to look at what we're doing when we're going to tropical. We're looking at not only something that's inaccurate information, it was inserted, from other entities that's outside of you. When we're looking at this, we're looking at the purity of the natural world, the natural universe, which of course, if that's the case, it means purity in the invisible, quantum world that creates the physical. And you could say this is God's will for you, or you could say this is the universe's purity of energy that created me without a filter. So this is where this is coming from. The last thing I want to say is, and of course Rich is just using words, we're calling it new astrology because it's new to many people. We're all arriving to it new, but it's not new. This is what's been there since the beginning of Earth time, however we want to look at that. It's just that, like all things, if we think of the educational system, religion, down the line, identity roles of things and races and how you're supposed to live and retirement and college and all these other things, although all those things can be cool, we've been conditioned into that from other beings. So if you want God's information or the universe's purity, or whether you want a false information that you want to just attach to and then, be happy with not the red pill, then fine.
Yeah. So Greg, do we have that transit chart?
Sure.
Can you put that up?
Yeah, let me see here. It's the it was the one here. Make sure
it's the one with
right
the
one.
Cosmic background.
All right, yep. Coming right up. Yeah, can
Okay,
you see
guys.
that? Now I'm going to bring it up on a bigger screen in a minute. So go ahead there.
Awesome. So, guys, what you're looking at here is today's chart. So yeah, that's good. So you see there, it's 10/27/2021 as the birthday. So what you do with this transit chart is you look at the, and by the way, we're just looking at the personality side of things because the design side is 3 months earlier, so we don't really consider that. That doesn't really have an effect on today. So we're just looking at the black lines, and we're mainly going to go down the list of planets, and and this is something we haven't really talked about on the show either. Is what does each planet actually do? What effect does that planet have on your consciousness, on your personality? And if you start like getting into these transits and really following them, you'll start to notice patterns. Actually, one of the types, the reflector, has this as their strategy. It's the reflector strategy to actually wait a full cycle of the moon, and so they can make decisions because these planets, they create cycles. And the moon just so happens to pass through all 64 gates every 28 days. So that's why that's the reflector strategy. But anyways, yeah, let's start looking at the sun.
Okay,
The sun. So
pull that up for you.
Perfect. That's perfect. So the sun, guys, is the main personality expression on that day. It also, in your own chart, the sun is your main personality, life force that shines like the sun, literally out of you, that other people can immediately recognize, that you can immediately recognize in yourself, because the sun, it shines over everything, right? And today we have the sun in gate 46. So there's a couple of different ways I like to talk about these gates. We'll start with the original name of the 46 in the I Ching, and that is pushing upward. Pushing upward. So, and the ancient Chinese ideograph for this hexagram is like a picture of plants growing upward. They're pushing upward. And in the gene keys, the 46 has, for example, the shadow of seriousness, the gift of delight, and the city of ecstasy. So be thinking about these words as we go through this. We've got pushing upward, and we've got delight as the gift. I like to focus on the gift when I'm looking at the gene keys, because it tends to be the most relatable, to most of us in our everyday life. Sometimes it helps a lot to look at the shadow too, because the shadow, we live kind of in a shadow world right now. So the shadow might be something you can immediately recognize around you. And that's seriousness, the shadow of seriousness. That's the main, consciousness at work in the world today, on this day, right now, in fact. So yeah, but then we've also got delight. We've got the gift of delight. And delight comes from, not being so serious about life. And, one thing to say about the sun is it stays in each gate approximately a week. So this whole week has been the 46, and it'll be there for a couple more days, right? JARIN, you want to say anything about the sun?
Well, I think that the most important part for me is what you mentioned about people attempting to look at the gift and try to strengthen the gift, by being aware of the shadow and taking a look at whatever that shadow may be around you, but attempting to focus on and become the gift portion of the gene key spectrum, because the city, albeit there, in most part is a futuristic ideological place to be, which we will, and it's not to say we can't have moments of it, But as far as looking at application, and within me, my conscious sun as a birth time has to do with realism, common magic, logic. It's logical to try to be the gift, try to become the gift, try to, and also like mandate that others around you and life around you operates within that gift. And then when it doesn't, you're able to see the shadow, and you can know how to work with it. You can see the fight or flight, which is what the shadow is all about. Is it reactive or repressive? Am I being reactive or repressive? Is someone else being reactive or repressive? And the gift is what solves it. The gift is what emanates and enlightens it. And it's something that's, we get a new look here. Nice, Greg. It's something that's very practical to work with. So when Richard's speaking, he's saying delight, right? Delight is the gift. Ecstasy is the enlightened state. Man, we would all love ecstasy, right? And that's where we're going. That's what it's about. That's what the light body is about. That's where we're heading as a species. But until we're there, what if we could act with delight and be less serious? So not take things so personally and take life so personally and think things are so hard. So practical application is today I know the transit's this, so I'm going to attempt to not be so serious, and I'm going to attempt to add delight to my life. I'm going to attempt to think about what's delighting to me. I'm going to attempt to even use the energy and intend on greater delight in my life, however you view it, whatever magic spells and words and potions you want to put to that. Now you're utilizing the energy that's present in the weather, because these transits are like weather. It's like a storm of this is upon us, and you can ride the wave. You can go with the current and go with the cycles, and it'll propel you forward, versus trying to go your own way and not wanting to look at the map of what's happening at all. And then there's a lot more work and resistance involved. So looking at the gift and the conscious sun of the day is definitely a simple tool for even people to just look at for 30 seconds and to understand this is what, and like Richard said, this is what's influencing me for the week. All of us, not just me, the whole species. We're all under this umbrella of delight, and we're all going to be exposed to the opposite thereof. And how can I work with that to transcend energy, transmute energy to a higher world instead of the shadow world?
This is Richard and JARIN became giants. So just so you know.
Yeah.
Yeah. And another thing we can see here is we've also got, we notice it's the 46.5. So what that means in general is today is a fifth line day for most people around the world. And what that means is most people are going to take on some characteristics of the fifth line today. You're going to notice that in your personal life. So you're going to notice today is a day of being able to universalize things, to say something that's applicable to everyone, to be very to get things done in a way. It's gonna be a day of both expectations and having those expectations fulfilled in your life. So yeah, by looking at the line of the day, you can get a good idea of, you can get an even better idea of the energy at work there. Another thing I wanted to say about the sun is you should always look and see what gate is opposite the gate of the sun on the body graph. For example, the 46, we've got the 29 connecting to the 46. So that means if you do have the 29 in your chart, you're going to feel this especially strongly, because you're going to have a new channel that you didn't have before, the 46 connecting to the 29. And that goes for the rest of the planets as well. If you have the opposite gate, then you're going to feel this energy especially strongly. And together the 46-29 make the channel of succeeding where others fail. So the 29 is the gate of perseverance, for example. The 46, it's this delight. Yes, it's also this kind of luck. it's a kind of luck, and well, I don't really think that luck exists, but it feels like luck. It feels like luck. It's being in the right place at the right time.
Sync. Yeah. And
Synchronicity, being in sync with the universe.
Okay. Whoa. This is quite the concept we just came up with here. So you're saying there is no luck or bad luck in the universe, that it's all synchronicity. It's about how you're vibrating and looking at life, or what's going on here? Explain.
And your karma.
So
so in other words, it's not luck, because that'd be outside in living. You know, you're responsible for everything that you've experienced. Sure, conditioning is included in that, but you have chosen your experiences. You've created what you're existing in now. You may only be conscious of what we're conscious of, but everything that we're experiencing is a result of our internal world, and karma just means action. So we've had actions that have created reactions, and it's good. It's good and bad. It's made us who we are. We are who we are. But to me, when I look at luck, I look at it as, well, that's a word we can say. We can call it fortunate, maybe, right? Or we could call it blessings. But really, it's not random. It's whatever we've done that also combines with, you know, where the stars' energy are right now. You know, this video game we're in, and what the energy is outside of us that causes some kind of experience, which you're either in sync with or you're out of sync with. But if you're in sync with it, it means you've done the work to be in sync. I know that sounds strong, but that's what it means. If you're out of sync or you experience the shadow, it doesn't mean anything bad. It just means you have the opportunity to learn, to look at the contrast, and to grow and to transform. So
yeah, Greg,
Richard's input.
I love that, JARIN, and let me just put a slightly different take on it.
Great.
It's I would say it all comes down to your attitude. It all comes down to your attitude. And in fact, it comes down to whether part of it comes down to whether you perceive yourself being lucky or unlucky. And I would say that is a shadow pattern. Like, for example, the person who goes through life and keeps saying how unlucky they are, keeps thinking that to themselves over and over, that's actually creating the bad luck because they have the wrong attitude about things. And let me just tell you, the alternative title of this hexagram from the Cosmic I Ching is actually, instead of pushing upward, it's called being lifted up by the helpers. And it means the helpers of the invisible world, these cosmic beings that help us through our lives. And, you know, what attracts them, as I understand it, is the correct attitude. You know, it's all about your attitude. And then when you have the correct attitude, you'll experience what feels like good luck, but it's actually you attracting help, attracting cosmic help. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Whereas if you go through life not open to that, not open to the possibility of there being any source of cosmic help, you'll tend to experience bad luck. You'll tend to keep experiencing bad luck because you're not getting any help, because you close yourself off to the possibility of it.
I love you said that. That's a great add-on. Perfect. That's very true. What are your thoughts on that, Greg?
Well, Richard Lapointe brought up reaction versus intention too. You know, like, you know, our brains are a big reaction organ, right? And so all we do is react to life. And you see it, like, let's say a football game on Sunday, right? Monday morning quarterback, but they're all reacting. Oh my God, the Packers are going to the Super Bowl. They blew out Kansas City. But that doesn't mean anything because the next week they lost by 20. It's all reaction, right? We all think because we just saw something, that means the way it's going to be. And it's all about intention and stepping back and really planning out what's going to happen. Obviously, in life, you can't always determine what's going to happen next, but you can plan for the best, and you can plan for the way you want to go, and you can focus yourself. Now, the only thing I can think of when I think about somebody perceiving me as lucky, but it was skill, because in basketball, let's say, I had played so many years of basketball, whether it was wintertime out in the driveway shoveling it and playing, whether it was in the middle of rain, whatever it was, I played a lot of basketball in different ways. And after a while, the game slowed down for me. I just became wiser in it. And it looked like I wasn't putting a lot of effort forward, but I was winning. And they didn't understand. They were like, man, you're lucky, or whatever, it's perceived as. And it's like, well, it's more that I've slowed life down for myself, especially in this area. And I'm looking at it in a wise way. I'm living in a wise way on the court. And I understand where to preserve energy, and I understand where to exert energy. And I understand to not react and overreact to situations, and to have intention on what I want to do. When does Michael Jordan take that shot, right? He waits till the last 3 seconds to take the shot to win the game. He doesn't leave 10 seconds on the clock. How many athletes take it at 10 seconds and then the other team goes down the court and scores and they lose the game? It's all about understanding life, and luck, I guess, when you look at it, is actually, when you're lucky, you have a little bit of wisdom in what you're doing. You're understanding life, and you're kind of relaxing into life, whether you know it or not. Subconsciously, you're relaxed into it, and that's when the good things happen. That's when the intentions happen, the plan happens. So maybe does that make sense?
That makes perfect sense, Greg. I love that you said relaxing into life, because that's also one of the meanings of the 46, is in actually enjoying being in a physical body, and fully experiencing all the physical senses. That's the ecstasy, right? That's the ecstasy. That's the city. So that, how much are you actually living? How much are you actually living in the now? Most, like you said, most people live in their heads. They live in their heads, which is reaction. And so, but that separates them from living in the now, inside their body, and actually enjoying life, and being in tune with life, with all the senses, which I can imagine would help you out playing basketball a lot. If you're more in tune with your body, these things just become totally natural to you. So yeah, I love that.
Yeah, it's amazing when you slow down and you actually take a few steps back, and it's almost like that fourth dimensional point of view, right? You're just stepping back, watching the anthill, right? And watching them work. It's like the same you can do in sports. You can do it in a lot of different areas. And once you get to that level, it becomes so much easier to navigate. You're not worried about, I remember I was speeding down court because I was so fast. I would speed down and I would miss the layup because I was going too fast. You know what I mean? And when I started to slow things down, things just came easy. Defense, offense, everything, where people were. It's amazing when you slow things down, take some breaths, just let life kind of guide you wherever you are. It doesn't have to be in a sport, but wherever you are, letting life guide you. You're walking down the street, right? You're enjoying what's going on around you. You're seeing the person with the mohawk. You're looking at the girl in the dress. You're, all of a sudden you saw somebody almost run into somebody, and then you see the paint spill, and you're like, oh my God, look at all the stuff going on, right? You're paying attention to life. You're not up in here the entire trip and go, how the hell did I get here? That's how many have done that? How did I get here? So
both of you, great points. I'm just thinking about the importance of paying attention, but paying attention doesn't mean thinking. It doesn't mean being in the mind. So Richard brought up a point about being reactive when you're in the mind, right? You guys said that. Well, consciousness is the highest aspect of the brain, and that's our attention. We have attention on something, and where we put attention, energy flows. Where we put attention, we're aware of what's around us. People have lost their ability to pay attention. Why? Because we're using two other aspects of our brain, which is memory and imagination. So the memory goes into the past. So you're prepared to relive it or expect what the outcome is before it even comes, because you're living in memory, which is limitation. There's a limitation right there because you're limiting the possibility of what may actually happen. Or you're projecting a future. You have this emotional wounds or expectations, and you're an imagination of what may happen. So the whole point in what I'm saying this is, you guys are right in getting into the body. when you get into the body, which would be your whole 9 centers of the cosmic human design, let's just say, you're not just mental, you're not just locked in emotional, you're engaging your whole body, but you can still consciously pay attention, and that's when you get in sync for opportunities to happen. And then attitude kicks in with, if it's a good thing, great, I'll add to it or enjoy it. If it's a bad thing, great, let me look at it and learn from it and realize it's not so serious. Realize it doesn't have to be so serious. It's all a game. And what can I learn from this situation? But where you are now is a result of your past actions, your intentions. And then I think nail on the head, both of you with paying attention, and Richard with the attitude. It's the attitude that's kind of like allows the door to be open or locked. And if you're in a positive attitude and you're in your body and you're expecting goodness, expecting positivity, and you're just enjoying the moment of the ride, this is luck. This is when great things happen, and this is when we're available. And for angelic, divine help we don't see, or human beings. If you have a great attitude and something challenges happens, but that it's going to work out, or you even put out a prayer and intention that it's going to work out, all of a sudden some human being will come and help you. But if you're not, and you're looking at life as, why is this doing this to me again? And remembering all your old times when you've had this challenge, or how life is, how the world is, and everybody's bad, all those or selfish, all those kind of things, then you don't get to help. You just have to make yourself available. And to make ourselves available in the present, we must move out of the thinking mind and the emotional triggers and get actually present to what's going on.
And I also think that, just to finish off, JARIN, that one of the hardest things for us human beings to do is to ask for genuine help. I think a lot of us have issues with that. And when we don't ask for genuine help, genuine good luck things don't happen to you because you're not asking it, right? You're trying to do it on your own. You're trying to force it and do it on your own. We have to be careful of that. Watch that. All right, Richard, you want to continue on here?
Yeah, let's take a look at the Earth.
All right.
So the Earth, guys, is represents basically this grounding energy. It's in astrology, it's the opposite of the sun. So it's the planet opposite to where the sun is, which is the Earth, which represents grounding and balance. It's the counterpoint to the sun's energy, the Earth. And today we have the Earth in gate 25. Now, gate 25, and we'll compare it to the 46 in a minute. Gate 25 is innocence. It's innocence. That's the original name in the I Ching, innocence, which it defines as not expecting and not projecting in terms of your thoughts. Now the Jinki, the Jinki shadow is constriction. The gift is acceptance, and the city is universal love. So that's a big one right here, universal love. And this is a really kind of a special one, because the 25 in human design, it's actually where the hexagram wheel begins. It's the first hexagram in a way. The 25 is. And I like how the 25, the gift is acceptance. It's acceptance. And that's something that a lot of humans struggle with, is acceptance. We don't like to accept our lives as they really are. Like JARIN's been saying, we tend to live in our minds, in our heads, which by definition kind of means we're not accepting the rest of our body. We're not accepting our feelings. We're not accepting our emotions. We're not accepting who we really are in the world. And that's the shadow of constriction. Everyone on the planet right now almost is constricted in a dead-end job, constricted in having to do some science research because you got the grant, and then now you have to only research specific things. That's constriction. Like, you know, you're just doing a very, very, very narrow thing. Most people in the world, they're doing very narrow things. They're constricted. And you know, when you do that, when you constrict yourself, you're constricting your own life force. You're constricting your own life force energy. So today, that's the balancing energy. That's the balancing energy. So accepting things, that's going to be where you start at today. That's going to be where you start at. And really, it's the first step on our human journey around the hexagram wheel is acceptance. Acceptance is the first step in our archetypal spiritual human journey.
Wow. Amazing. Yeah. Strong word, huh? Acceptance.
It's,
you know, it can mean so many things. It means so many things. But when I think of acceptance, I also think of just honoring the truth, you know, and you know, when we look at acceptance could also mean being receptive, right? Something or someone's trying to give you a gift and you don't receive it. You don't feel worthy. You know, you don't want to receive it. At the same time, it could be looking at life and something that's not working and it's not right for you, but you can't let it go. And then you feel guilty about it, or you feel responsible, you know, all these kind of things. And acceptance is really that still point of just, to me, of just what is, what's real. So I'm reminded of Satguru talking about, you know, he's a Indian or a guru from India, very well known. It's like 10 million people follow him on YouTube now. But he's talking about, you know, your issue with, let's say, job or relationship. He's talking about relationship at the time, but we could say either one, since Richard talked about people being in jobs they don't want. What you want that job or person to be is not matching up with what they actually are. And that's the problem. You know, what actually is in front of you, that person or that job, is not what you want it to be. And that's where the restriction, and that's where the constriction and all the other shadows are, you know. And the acceptance would be, not only I got to accept what it is and deal with it. That's true. Like, but no, I also got to accept I need to change it. I accept I need something else. I need a different job or a different relationship. And I need to be able to let go, not just create new, but I need to be able to let go. And a lot of people have a hard time letting go because we anchor ourselves to situations that cause us to be in safety. And we don't accept how we really feel. So I'm just kind of giving a contemplative view of a variety of angles of what acceptance could mean to different people. And if we travel through time and space, as we really do, and we weren't in this low vibration that we've been in on the earth, we would experience all kinds of things and be letting go and creating new all kinds of things. And we'd just be in the experience. We wouldn't be stuck on one thing, let alone then think of the job or the relationship, right? Getting mad at it and blaming it. You know, you can't blame it. It's what you created and wanted and chose in the past. But that doesn't mean you can't choose, create something new now. You can always be new.
Yeah, we're very philosophical on this show tonight, which I think is really life in general. I mean, you think about some of the great philosophers in our past and the things they've said, and when they say them, you're like, wow, I just never thought about it that way, or man, that makes sense, you know, whatever. And it's usually not an answer for you, but it's a question for you that you haven't asked yourself, or you forget to ask yourself on a daily basis. And one of the things I love is to meditate on your death daily. And what this does is, if you can picture yourself in that moment, just for a few minutes, to think about your death today and the people that you leave behind, the things that you enjoy in life, the places you want to go and see and you haven't been to yet, all these things, it really makes that perspective change, and it makes you accept your life today, not tomorrow, not 20 years from now, not 3 days ago. Today, you go, holy crap, like if I were to die today, this is what I would miss the most, where I'd want to be the most, where I'd want to, you know, it makes you question so many things. And then when you move on with your day, you're in that acceptance mode. You're accepting that, man, like I used to think about life this way. Now I'm very grateful for each minute, each moment. And every minute that I complain, that I get mad and angry about something that isn't working out my way, is a wasted minute of my day that I'm going to be dead at the end of. So you see how that changes your perspective. And that also helps contribute to you accepting things a lot easier. Because the ego, it definitely doesn't want to die. The ego loves living. So you're messing with that ego a little bit and allowing it to work for you instead of it always working against you in a lot of ways. So that's a little tool you can bring around with you and try it out. So
I think it's interesting we're doing the transit of the day and talking about these two because Greg's birthday is tomorrow, and I'm not remembering your exact chart right now. But if 46 is around,
oh, you
week,
mean
right?
my numbers? Yeah.
Is that
The 18? Well, the 18 is next, right? The 18 is next on the wheel, and Greg's the 18. So I don't remember what time your birthday was, Greg, but
I believe it runs into, actually, because of the UTC time, UCT, whatever it is, it ends up being the 29th. It's like just over midnight at the 18th minute. So that's where it switches to. So I don't know how that moves things.
I'm not sure when the sun changes, but
yeah.
Well, it's almost out of the 46, right? It's in the 46.
Oh, is it? Oh, yeah.
So it's got the 46.6, and then it'll be back to where it was when Greg was born, the 18.1, right? So yeah, that's really cool.
Yeah, definitely. It's been I think it's been a very interesting discussion today. I've really enjoyed what we've talked about, and I'm just right this second I'm putting in my chart because I have everything kind of preloaded, so it should pop up pretty quickly.
Check it out. I'm enjoying this conversation. It's Jason Estes, another person that I tend to follow. His birthday was last week, and he's talking about how for 3 days he does a certain practice every year because he knows during his birthday he has access to his wholeness more, including his past incarnation. And what it's making me think of with your birthday being tomorrow is kind of the aspect that, well, yeah, when it's your birthday, it means that the transits in the sun at least is in harmony with who you are.
Yeah.
So you have great energy to have clarity to see who you are and activate and manifest who you are, because it's not just you, it's the whole collective energies. Wouldn't that be right, Richard? With the sun, at least.
Yeah. The sun returns to where it was when you were born on your birthday every year. So I like how you said that, JARIN. It's a real opportunity for you to see that energy as you are now, and then you can kind of get in touch with that and see if there's anything maybe out of place in your life. See if you haven't really been living as yourself, because now you have this opportunity to feel the energy, to see the energy right now, on your birthday. And I think it's beautiful. That's it. They call it the solar return, and there's all kinds of other returns too. Like, for example, people talk a lot about their Saturn return, which is like when you're 28 to 32 years old, and tends to like wake you up to responsibilities in life and things like that, because Saturn's the planet of limitation, for example. So you really start to feel your limitations around that age and start to change. Similarly with the sun is that radiant life force energy that you really, it's your life's work in the Gene Keys. It's your life's work. It's what you're really here to do. So here we have Greg's chart. He's got the 18.1, the city of perfection, Greg. The city of perfection.
That can be bad and good.
Yeah. and Greg is the investigator martyr, or investigator explorer, as we've been calling it here.
So Richard, you were saying the sun, it goes through, you're saying the whole spectrum of the sun goes about a week, you said, right? Of a certain sign?
About a week. Yeah.
So that means going through number 1, 2, 3, it's roughly a day.
Roughly a day, yeah.
So since we're in 0.5 now, 0.6 is obviously the first half of the day tomorrow, probably, and it shifts to 18.1 for Greg. Yeah. So
yeah.
I'm learning things here, people. See, I'm learning things too. I didn't know that around 24 hours is when your exact sun will be.
And if you see that, how quickly I pulled up this chart, right? I just went to cosmichumandesign.com. I punched in my stuff and it was there. And now as a group, I mean, think about